So yes, hello everyone. My name is Rahul Chaudhary. Today we would be start talking about automation testing. So before starting with automation testing, let's cover some basics about what is software testing because without covering basics of software testing or what we are going through, we can't. Uh huh. 1 second. Cool. Right. So yeah, without knowing much about software testing, we can't go to automation part of it. Okay, so because for automation, we definitely need to know what are we automating and what are the skills we require to automate. What are the basic thing we are trying to achieve via automation. So that's why basics of software testing is important. Okay, without wasting much time, let's start with software testing. Okay. First of all, yes, this video will not help only the working professionals, in software testing and development part, but also those who are very new to the field, who are aspiring to be software developer or tester, or they are just searching their way out to be somewhere in software industry. So this video will bring light to all of them. Now starting about software testing, uh, as the word says, software testing in a very layman terms, I will try to explain you. Software testing is defined as an activity to check whether the actual results match the expected result and to ensure that the software system is defect free. So basically, yeah, in a very layman terms, this is the meaning of software testing, that we have to ensure that the software like we are working on is defect free. That is software testing. Okay, now the next thing is, like, why is software testing important? Like, first of all, is it really important? Yes, software testing is important because as all of us know, like, software, like, the bugs in our software are very expensive and even dangerous, not even to the market, not even to the business, but also to lives many a times. So that's why, yes, software testing is important. And they cause monetary human loss. Like, history is full of such instances where software bugs have taken a toll not only to the business but also to the lives of various humans. Now like, here I have put up some examples where our software have put up toll on the lives and also on the business. Let's go to this example first, because that would be a good start to start with our session. Yes. So I'm reading these instances. In April 2015, Bloomsburg terminal in London crashed due to software glitch, affected more than, like, these were 300,000 traders in a finance market. So all of them were impacted, and it has caused more than 3 billion pound debit sale. So it has taken a much of toll on business. Now the Nissan has to recall its cars, over 1 million cars, from the market due to software failure. Now the main thing is, the in this example, the defect was in airbag system. So airbag sensory system. So you can very well know that how this bug could have taken toll on lives of many. Also, it has taken toll on the Nissan car market. Obviously, monetary loss. Starbucks was forced to close about 60% of its store in US and Canada due to software failure. So there was a point of time in history where Starbucks was selling coffees for free because their software were not able to process the transaction. So that was a major toll on their business. That is another one of the state of the art reason of how software bug can take a toll on everything. Now there was also a time when Amazon's third party, like, Amazon is said to be very well in its business establishment and also in its software practices, in its development, in its testing. Everything is mind-blowing of Amazon. But yes, there was a instance where all the third party or the 3P sellers of Amazon saw their product price have been reduced to 1 paisa due to some software glitch. So due to this, it also like, it leads to loss, reputation loss, not only to Amazon but also monetary loss to all the third party sellers who are selling their products on Amazon. So, like, history is full of such examples. Okay, so now we know that software testing is a very crucial part, like, very crucial part of this industry, of the software industry. And now Now if we know now we know that we do have benefits of software testing. Now let's grasp some of the important benefits what a QA or a software tester or software testing practice in a company gives to the business. First of all, QA saves you money. Like this is needless to know that QA saves like the money spent on QA practices for a company. The money spent is much less than what QA saves, because uh, QA is taking money, QA practice is taking money, but what is giving is a brand to the industry that the software is defect free. Not only brand, it is giving you monetary benefit. So yes, they pays more than what this practice takes, way more than. So this is one thing. Now QA prevents catastrophic corporate emergencies, QA inspires client confidence, QA maintains great user experience, QA brings in more profit. These all are interrelated points. So as all of you might have known till now, that these are the various benefits or the various aspects of looking at QA practice in a company. QA boosts customer satisfaction, and like these are the various benefits of QA practice. Now we know that QA practice is important, and a QA plays a major role in any industry, basically in software industry more than any other industry. Now the QA practice or the software testing practice majorly, like in how many parts can it be broken. Some of the guys say that it can be broken into black box testing, white box testing, gray box testing, automation testing, these all other many things. But what do I believe, like the major parts can be only three: functional, non-functional, and maintenance. And under these parts, all other various type of, like in one way or the other, all other various type of software testing practices may lie under these three parameters. Either it can be functional, can be non-functional, and can be maintenance testing. If we talk of functional testing, we basically mean that the functionality which is expected of the software, like whether it is paying worth its salt or not. In a simple layman term, you can say it like this: that the thing which is expected of the software, whether it is performing that thing or not. In non-functional testing, all those things comes which are not specified somewhere, but yes, are definitely expected. For example, we are making a you can say a third party software or a calculator application or any website. Now we do expect that the website should show these many things, should be able to process our payment, should be able to do this and that. But now this is not written anywhere, but what is expected, that it should handle more than 100 clients. If it is a third party seller or any other application like that, customer facing application, then it is definitely expected that it should handle a load of customer, that it should not show glitch in its performance when faced with a increasing number of clients. So these are all the things, like performance and other things, which are yes definitely expected of any website. So these comes under non-functional testing. Now the third type of testing comes is maintenance testing, like whenever we do deliver any website. Now after that, after some time, our hardware grows, everything grows, software component grows. Now we do need testing to come or to keep our site at par with the business. So that's where maintenance testing come into picture. If I try to give you some example of functional testing, then these are the very many examples. Unit testing, you all know, like software basically in the very initial days, software were made in a single application, a single main class, and everything was inside that class, and everything happens like that. Now we do have functional units with the coming of object oriented programming and other concepts. We do have units, we do have individual working functional functions, we do have so we do have individual microservices, all these things. So basically these particular functional workable individual units of work, a simple function which just adds the parameters provided to it. So these all comes under unit testing. Now there are very various other parts. Now when we integrate this units, so this make a integration testing. Not the integration testing, when we integrate this thing, then a testing have to be performed just to have a look whether a combination of these is working properly or not. That is integration testing. We do have smoke testing, we do have UAT. Smoke testing, if I have to tell you about smoke testing, then it is a basic small part or sub part of major testing, which is done just to make sure that the software is working fine or it is accepted for further testing or not. If it's not well in smoke testing, then yes, definitely we can't proceed with further testing. So these all are very various many parts. We have user subtest testing, localization, globalization, interoperability, uh, the parts of non-functional testing. I don't want to invest very much of your time in these things, but yes, I do want you to be aware of like what are we learning, or where from this automation come into picture. This automation is part of which thing. So that's why a basic overview of everything is important. You should not be unaware of the thing what are we learning. So yes, now comes this non-functional testing: performance, endurance, load, volume, scalability, usability. So these are the various parts of non-functional testing. The names of these type of testing are themselves well to know about the thing. Like load testing, as the name tells, like it is something about the load, whether our application is able to take load or not. Volume testing, whether our application is able to handle high volume of data or not. So scalability, whether our application is able to keep up to the par with scalability or not. So these all are the very examples of non-functional testing. mm, we do have maintenance testing like regression, maintenance. So these all are the very parts of maintenance testing. Now uh, yes, let me open that YouTube page once in my browser so that I can be aware whether anyone is trying to speak anything to me, or like I would not be able to view here. So these all are the very parts of maintenance system. Now uh, yes, let me open that YouTube page once in my browser so that I can be aware whether anyone is trying to speak anything to me, or now the specified types are not all we have more than 200 different type of testing. So these were the small examples of those type of testing. We do have more than 200 different type of testing. Also, thing worth noting here is that not all testing types are applicable for all projects. Like if any business or anyone wants that all the 200 or all the 199 or all the different type of testings known to the world to be applied to my project, that cannot be the case. Sorry. Because like these type of testing applies, like every type of testing applies to a parameter of the project. Now it's on our project, like whether it is client facing. If it is client facing, then yes, it has to be scalable. Then yes, load testing have to be done. If it's not client facing, means we do have only few business, few individuals who are having access to our website. So this is some internal portal of any website. So in that case, yes, load testing is not that much important. We if we do have high volume of data, then yes, volume testing is important. But for applications which don't have such a high amount of data, it is just informative, like Delhi Metro website for an example. Like it is just informative, it is totally an static website. So in that case, volume testing is not important for that. So what I am trying to make my point here is, all the type of testing are not applicable to all projects, but yes, they all depends on the nature and scope of project we are dealing with. Now coming to now we know about software testing. Let's talk about software test engineer, the unsung hero in this story. Yes. So the skills which one requires to be a good test engineer can be broken into two major subdivisions. Mm, This by the way, this all things is in accordance to my understanding of the industry, of the business, of the thing. And yes, so now technical and non-technical aspects, these two can be the various aspects of software test engineer. Okay, now technical, if we talk of technical skills, what the basic things we do require to be a good test engineer is like basic knowledge of database, SQL. uh, why? Because software systems have a large amount of data, different type of databases we do have to deal with, like Oracle, MySQL, etc. In the background we do have different type of databases. So like for validation, every now and then, in case of simple, in case of complex application, we do have to write SQL queries. We should be aware like what is NoSQL, how does it works, how can I fetch data from my database, how can I validate the data which is in my database to that what I am expecting on UI or the front end. So thus data knowledge of database, some knowledge of database is I think prerequisite to be a good test engineer. Now the second thing which comes into picture is like basic knowledge of Linux command, not to that much extent, not to that much high level of Linux understanding, but yes, some basic understanding is required, because most of the web services we know as in this world are deployed on Linux machine. So it is crucial for testers to have knowledge of basic Linux commands, so that we can deep dive and look at the logs, like where our software went wrong, how, like where it is breaking, if it is breaking, and yes, what is the expected value, what is going in the logs. So yes, Linux understanding, basic knowledge is very must uh, thing for software test engineer. Now the third thing we should be aware of is knowledge and hands-on expertise of a test management tool. If we speak of test management tools, then basically I'm speaking of TestLink or Jira or any other tool. So basically a place where we can manage our test cases, or manage our test cases, write our test cases, and like can have a look like which all are the executed ones, which all are the not the executed one. TestRail is a good example. TestRail, yes. So uh, basically, to correct myself, Jira is not a test management tool. Yes, so yes, test management tool is TestRail, HipTest. So these are the example of test management tools, and our tester has to be aware of various test management tools, because every company, every industry, everyone wants their test cases to be kept safe at such a place, in for such a condition. For example, one test engineer leaves a company, or another test engineer comes in his place, or any of the co-members come to a new project, then yes, we do require test management tools. uh, Test management tool, not the test management tool, but we do require test cases for the deep understanding of positives, of the negative cases. So yes, test management tool can play a major role there, to make anyone aware of application, the test cases we have been running on this script, on this working code from long, and all these things. Also we do require knowledge and hands-on expertise of a defect tracking tool. Defect tracking tool, just Jira is a defect tracking tool, because yes, we do have to create defects, we do have to view stories, epics, all the things have to be well aware by a test engineer, and how to manage them, how to, what are the life cycle of them, and how to move them to further steps of life cycle, where to block, where to unblock them. So this is one of the much required skill, technical wise, for a test engineer. Knowledge and hands-on experience of automation tool, I think for the ones who are new to test industry, this automation tool is not that much required thing. But yes, once you start growing in any company, or once the company start growing, then we can't basically follow up with every like we can't basically follow up the way we were doing in the very initial phase of a project. Because what will happen is, like for example, you do have a small project which you are managing from scratch. Okay, we do have only 2 or 3 or some limited amount of functions. We are very well keeping an eye on all of them on every release. But release basically comes every you can say every week or bi-weekly release in every company. So now every week or once in 2 weeks, we can't basically run all the test cases on all the known operating system, on all the known browsers. That would that would be a monotonous task for any individual. And also anyone can't follow, like with the project being growing, we do have 2 or 3 new things in every sprint going to the client. So in the very initial phase this can be done, but when projects grows too much, then we can't basically have a look at each and everything which is not even being changed, and on every browser, on every operating system. And to the best of my knowledge, as far as I know, that however best approaches, however best techniques, however best things you are following in your industry, in your company, however best technical approaches, best testing team you are being managing, these all things don't hold any value if even a single defect in your software comes in limelight. So I very well remembers the case. Let me share you an example. I very well remembers the case. Few time back, like there was a e-learning company, and many of its client data have been leaked. So I was in another e-learning company which was direct competitor to this company whose data clients data have been leaked. So from the very same day, the data have been leaked. So from the very same day, we have started encountering 1.5 to 2x more traffic to our networks. Not only the traffic, but just payments. So our increase in payments, yes, definitely that is direct loss to the competitor whose data have been leaked. And this thing is going on till now. So so you can very well take a guess of how much loss that company, due to this single defect which they might have kept open, and due to which client data have been leaked. And see, the data have been leaked of students. Like students don't take much care of their data, of their email id, their phone number is being leaked. Like which student do take care of these many things? But yes, uh, the uh, disaster was much to that company. So this was a simple example, like how this all thing can take toll on monetary benefits of any company. So this is all about technical skills. Now if I do have to speak of non-technical skills, then yes, first comes is analytical skills. This is like the most important comes the first, analytical skills. Good software tester should, I believe, should have sharp analytical skills. Analytical skills will help you break up a complex software system into small units. Okay, and it also helps you gain a better understanding and create test cases. So in that way, uh, it will help you to be a good test engineer. So this is the most important skill required by a test engineer. Second comes is communication skill. If I speak of communication skill, then yes, a good software tester must have good verbal and written communication skill. Software artifacts like test case planning, test cases, test plans, strategies, bug reports, these all things have to be created by test engineers. And once a test engineer prepares them, they should be easy to read and comprehend and understand, and easy to deal with when any other, either of the project or outside of the project, like having a look at them once. Anyone, either of the project or out of the project, should be very well know of the thing which is going on, of that, or the test plan which has been presented, or the bug report which has been shown. So communication skill plays a important role. Now the third thing which comes is test management and organization skills. Testing at times could be a demanding job. Yes, I do agree, testing at times could be a demanding job, especially during release of a code. Mhm. A software tester must efficiently manage workload. Test engineer not only have to efficiently manage workload, but also have to handle high productivity, have to show high productivity, exhibit optimal time management and organization skills. So yes, at those times, this organization skills come into picture. Now, great attitude, this is also one of the most important attribute to be a test engineer, to be a good software test engineer. You must have a great attitude, and attitude to test to break sort of thing. Like if anyone tries to test a thing, then he should test to break the thing, because because if we leave anything in between, like it may be correct, developer must have thought this thing, it should be working fine, this is a very basic thing, this is a very basic scenario, this should be working, unit testing has been done, like these all statements does not work in test industry. So yes, an attitude to test to break the thing is very much important in this domain. Also, test engineer should be detail oriented. Like we can't overlook a thing. Like if a thing is present, we should know the detailings of it. We should be willing to learn and suggest process improvements, like how the process is currently working. We should know first of all that thing, and we should also be always be available to suggest more improvements in the software product we are testing. Also, technology evolves like anything, in so not only in test industry, but yes, in overall software industry, we do know that technology evolves like anything. So to cope up with the overwhelming speed of the software we are testing, or the baseline things we are testing, the language being used behind the scene, the challenges of that language, a good software test engineer should update his or her testing skills with the changing technology. Attitude is, I will say, a very much important thing in engineer. Your attitude must reflect a certain degree of independence, where you take ownership of the task allocated and complete it without much direct supervision. So without much direct supervision, yes, we do have to complete the task. So that degree of compassion, that passion should come from inside. So this is one more thing. Now, the last come is passion for testing, and this thing I believe comes from inside. The passion to break anything, the passion to excel anything. We don't take second class things, we only do take first class. We do have passion to make the project at the best. So this passion should come from inside. These all are the non-technical skills of a test engineer. Now, like I do face some of the common questions, so I have addressed two of them, which are the very much known. Like, do software tester as a career pays less, and do developers are more respected as compared to software tester? These two questions are not, I believe, for working professionals, but for those who are interns or who are seeking an opportunity in either software testing industry, or development, or like anywhere in the software industry. So they are pursuing their BTech, or new aspirants. So this question is for them. So I would not even stretch them much to what is written. So, like, contrary to the popular belief, software tester, better known as QA professionals, are paid and treated at par with software developers in all aspiring companies. Okay, a career in software testing should never be considered as a second rated. Let me repeat myself: a career in software testing should never be considered as a second rated profession. Okay. Now, the second question which most of the people do have in their mind is like, is software testing boring? Because yes, I know that many of the people do think outside of the testing engine industry, obviously, do think that it is a boring, it is a monotonous task to handle the same thing on various operating system and on different browsers and all that. This should be a boring task, yes. But to answer this, let me tell you that software testing actually it basically not only tests your nerves, but basically what it takes is, like, it takes you to think new approaches of how to break a thing. Because once you break a thing, software developer or the next version of code would be ready against that approach which you have used earlier to break the thing. So you should be agile to break things in such a manner that it should break. So yes, so in that way, now start thinking, like, if a software tester is obviously involved in breaking all the things and thinking of new approaches, new techniques, new tools to break the thing every now and then, on every release he has to come with something new to break the thing, because the what all he has in his mind has applied till the last sprint. Now he do have to think new approaches, like where can this software piece can go wrong. Then yes, obviously this is not a boring job. And if you feel this boring, then let's ask a 3-year experienced software developer, like, how his job is doing. So this thing I have also put up in this example now. Now coming to the main topic, software testing tools. Now we do have many different software testing tool, and each one of them can have their respective frameworks. For example, like we do have UI testing tool, they have their own frameworks like page object model, and like these are out of Selenium Limited. We do have out of Selenium tools as well. So there are many software testing tools, and each one of them have their respective frameworks based on the project we are automating. Either we are automating a back-end project, or a front-end project, or performance testing using JMeter or any such thing. So yes, to name a few, yes, it is important to know competitors. Like if we start choosing an automation tool, then yes, we should know what are the various competitors in market and why should we opt a particular tool of them. The various advantages and disadvantages one should be aware. So if we speak of automation tools, we have in market Selenium, we have Test Project, we have QTP, we have Catalan Studio, Test Complete, Test IAM, Renderx Studio, Squish, Cypress.io. So not only these, there are many others, but yes, we do have limitation of time and space, so that's why I have written only these. If we talk of API testing, then here also we do have various tools like SOAP UI, Postman API testing, using like Postman API testing. It is in itself a separate tool. Postman is not only a tool to trigger the request and get the response. It basically has its own automation tool in itself. You can also try it. We have Rest Assured, we have WireMock, we have Ready API, we have Catalan API Studio, and like many more. Now the new thing in our market, like as I have already told you that every new thing comes now and then in software industry, and so in software testing as well. Like we do have robotic process automation, RPA, which is the newly introduced thing, and is doing much better than what it has been expected to do. So yes, RPA basically, like if I talk of RPA, robotic process automation, so these are basically robots. You can say these are robots or bots which are capable of mimicking the user action, like whatever action user is applying. Like they are either copy pasting a thing, they are either opening a website, they are verifying one thing, they are doing like all these action. Like RPA is capable of doing all these things. Now if we speak of benefit of RPA, then it is claimed that programming language, like knowledge of programming language, is not a prerequisite to be able to work on RPA. Because what problem the automation industry was facing is like every test engineer should be aware of should be aware of any programming language, so that he or she can one second. Mhm. Yes. So yes, where I was, yes, every engineer should be aware of the programming language, any one of the programming language, so that he or she can work with it in automation. But here with the RPA in our industry, the technical skills sits on the back seat, and business driven approaches, business driven test cases sits on the front seat. So we don't have to care about the programming language. What we only do need is just the technical, just the business knowledge. And once we are ready to apply those things, this RPA would mimic our action, and would repeatedly apply those things on different set of browser, on different set of operating system, all those things. Now it along with advantages, we all know there comes some disadvantages. So disadvantages of it lies when we do have to perform CI/CD integration, or zero touch deployment, or all these things. Like it's bit tricky for RPA. We can't do that on RPA. So that's why. Apart of this, we also have performance testing tool. Like we do have Load Ninja from SmartBear. SmartBear from past few years has started growing itself as anything. So it also has that automation tool. It also has backend automation tool. It has SOAPUI is part of SmartBear, by the way. So it is in every aspect of software testing. We do have Apache JMeter. JMeter is de facto standard of performance testing market. We do have WebLoad, Load UI, Load View, NeoLoad, Load Runners. These are all the very many examples. You can just obviously again come to this slide and have a look at it. Now we are here to talk about Selenium. Let's come to the point, come to the topic. What is Selenium, and why anyone has to choose Selenium? If we have that many tools in the UI automation industry, then why Selenium? Now Selenium is, first of all, the very big advantage of it is, like, it is an open source browser automation tool. So like it is not a paid version, it is open source. So that's the very much big advantage of it against QTP and other tools, which comes at a very high monetary value. So against those, Selenium stands still because it is open source. It can automate manifold operating systems. Like it can automate a thing in Linux and Mac, on Windows, on every browser known to me. Like it can work on Internet Explorer, it can work on Chrome, it can work on Firefox, it can work on Opera, and also it can also work on headless browser. Headless browser are those browsers which don't have any head. What do we mean by head? Is like we can't see the visuals of them. So in that way, DOM loading time and all those time would be reduced too much, and hence performance increases in headless browser. And Selenium can automate headless browsers as well. It has increasingly become the industry standard because of its flexibility to be used on various third-party IDs. Like it can be integrated to various third-party IDs and to various third-party tools as well. Like we do have Apache POI, which is used to can be integrated with Selenium and can be used to read and write to Excel. We do have third-party tool to integrate, which can be integrated with Jira in Selenium, so that Jira task can be updated. Like this test case has been automated and been running fine, and it can be integrated with automation tools. Like it has much flexibility. The languages, the programming languages, it can support Python, it can support Java, C#, JavaScript, Ruby, PHP, Perl, all the languages which I'm aware of. Like Selenium supports more than, I believe, 10 languages. So yes, it supports many of the programming languages available in the market. And when I say it supports various programming languages, then it can also take benefit of those programming languages. Like we all know, like Java has its own set of benefits, C Sharp has its own set of benefits. So when someone writes a code on Java using Selenium, then yes, all the benefits of Java, all the collection classes, all the things which are available in Java can be taken help of in Selenium. So that's why it is a master in market. It also, by the way, to your surprise, it also provide a record and playback feature. So in that way, we don't need to know much of programming languages. Just record and it will execute the same task, just like RPA. But it's not that much advanced if we compare this with RPA. RPA is much more advanced in record and playback thing. So this is Selenium. A part of this, the most important thing about Selenium is like it has been in market for quite a long time. So if we speak of Selenium, it is now the de facto standard of automation industry. Like everyone, if you talk to anyone in the software industry, like they know Selenium, they want to automate their thing on Selenium because Selenium is kind of stable. Like it is in the market, it has its support, it has its user base. So we can find all the problems in Stack Overflow and all the supporting websites, where anyone can stuck, because there is a very big team, not of the developers, but just of the users of Selenium which is working. The all the problems which you can be stuck into, every now or then, anyone in this world have been stuck in the very same problem, and the solution to it is available on net. So that's why Selenium has a stronghold in the market. That's why everyone wants to automate using Selenium only. The If you speak of disadvantage of Selenium, then yes, Selenium has a disadvantage that it is only a browser automation tool. So it lacks at places where, you can say, we do have desktop application. Okay, so Selenium can't automate desktop application or any such other thing, like which is not running on browser, or the web pages which are not being opened on browser. Selenium can't automate it. So this is just a browser automation tool against RPA and other, like QTP can automate desktop application, can handle many fold things better than Selenium, but yes, has comes at a much higher monetary value. A part of that, we do have RPA. UiPath is one of the company which has presented RPA, and Automation Anywhere is another company presenting RPA. RPA has a benefit that yes, it can automate not only the browsers but also desktop application and other things. So there, like, as I have already told you, like everything has its set of benefit, has its set of disadvantages. But yes, if we start comparing, then Selenium, I do find, like, this is my personal view, I do find Selenium standing much ahead against those. By the way, guys, now it's time to see some automation in action. Now, before starting it, let me tell you that I have automated a piece of code to present in this session week ago, but yes, I've lost it today. I've spent more than an hour to search for it, but was not able to do so. But yes, from morning I have been able to made another piece of code ready for you. So this is a very simple code. It is written in a single class. We do have functions, but yes, it's written in a single class. We do have main, so I have not used many fancy terms. So let's start from the very scratch, and once we are up to this thing, we can come to other things, come to more advanced things later on. Now, to even, by the way, I have not tried running it even once till now, because it has been completed an hour ago or so. So let's try whether it works or not. If it works, then yes, can be a good example of automation, and if it does not works, then can be a good example of why testing is important for every software. Let's see how thing goes.